all the games I used to play in my younger, wilder days. The game of clubs and tees had never crossed my mind. But after some discussion with my closest, dearest friends, I decided that I'd give it one good try.
Welcome into another episode of the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast. My name is Andrew Putters. I'm here with my co-host, Joe Nicely, the senior golf analyst at Rotoballer.com. Joe, fill us in. Go ahead and fill us in on what Rotoballer's got going for us in 2021.
Yeah, man, really excited about 2021. Kind of our big thing this year. We added showdown articles to our premium offerings. My guy Spencer's taking care of that. Great deal. You can use that. You can also use our DFS research station. We've got a lineup optimizer over there. Josh Bennett does an amazing course breakdown every week. So we really hope you'll check it out. A lot of free stuff over there as well at rotoballer.com. If you decide you do want to go premium, you can use promo code NICE, N-I-C-E. And right now we're running it for $69.99 for the rest of the season. Take you to the Tour Championship. It's an amazing deal. Great content over there. Hope you'll check it out.
Absolutely. I use Rotoballer every week for all of my information. Sorry, I had to get a pen. Mine went dead there, or went dry. So, yeah, I use Rotoballer every week for doing research and just get insight on what other people are thinking. Like you said, Spencer's big on the statistics. You got Josh in there with the course knowledge every week. A lot of knowledge. I mean, there's no telling how much work goes into all that stuff. So, with that being said, we're going to have a great show for you today. A lot of news coming out with the PGA Tour. Plus, we're going to hit on last week's tournament along with American Express. Along with, if you like what you hear, hit this. And you're on, if you're listening to it, wherever you're listening, hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave us a comment. All those things help us in the long run to support us, and appreciate your support going forward. As you can see, this year we've already brought on a slew of guests, and we've got one coming to you next week. Be excited. Done the interview already with Scott Stallings next week. That's going to be good. We're going to get a little bit insight on the PGA Tour and what's going on and what he's doing back home in Knoxville, Tennessee to help grow junior golf. But let's just go ahead and get into the news. Number one headline this weekend was Justin Thomas dropping a homosexual, I don't even know what you call it. What do you even call this? Slang, I guess. I guess I did not actually see it, Joe. You brought this up right before we came on. I don't really know what my opinion is because I haven't seen it. So only thing I can say is that as far as it goes with him, and my opinion on this thing is that he's human. He's going to make mistakes, number one. And number two, he's got a lot of kids following him. So in a man in his position, you do have to play a role of leadership or being a better role model for children. And saying that, Joe, what are your thoughts on it? That's all I can say about it.
Yeah, it actually happened at the Century, and kind of the fallout this past week was Ralph Lauren dropped him. The company that makes his clothes, he's worn Polo Ralph Lauren since he was on tour, since he was a rookie. So obviously they're a high profile fashion company, and it's their kind of their right and their, I guess, a moral choice for them to drop JT. I don't think he'll have any shortage of suitors that want to come after him. Obviously, one of the most highly visible guys on tour, one of the best players on tour. Seemed really genuine in his apology after it happened. So it seems like it's something he's, very sorry about, and hopefully he can just move past it. Like I said, I don't think he'll have trouble finding another equipment clothing sponsor. But JT seems like a really good guy. Just a really bad mistake. Just not something you can do. And I'm sure he wishes he could take it back. But yeah, man, I kind of get it from both sides. But hopefully everybody can move on from it, learn from it, and go from there.
Yes, I agree. We'll not have any problem picking up a new contract with somebody. Yeah, unfortunately, like you said, we athletes, and especially even individuals, we have to be thinking there's a camera on us all the time. With 2021, and especially with no fans, there's going to be more microphones there. So anyway, moving on. Last week, Sony Open. One thing that this podcast has forced me to do, Joe, is watch more golf. So you can't complain about that. But I guess maybe don't remember much, but this golf course they played at last week. I texted several of my friends. I mean, I don't know if I've seen a golf course that looks. I mean, it's just amazing how beautiful it was, how good it was, how pure it was. And me knowing a few guys that are out there, whether it be playing or caddying, I text with them and they're like, "Man, you don't believe how pure it is till you should actually show up." Beautiful golf course right there in town. Um, Kevin Na, first of all, we'll go with him. 21 under, coming out of nowhere, 61. I'm used to be a Kevin Na, full blown live or die by Kevin Na because he's such a grinder. I've kind of been off of him last few weeks, or last probably 6 months for some reason. You, on the other hand, seem to never roster Kevin Na because you see you can never get him in the right spot. Shoots 61 on Saturday, finishes 21 under. But I love Kevin Na's game on certain golf courses because he will not quit. Where you at on? You have anything to say about Kevin Na's performance? Oh, and let's just go ahead and say Asian background winning in Hawaii is a big deal. So it had to be big for his family and his fans. So
Yeah, huge win for Kevin Law. He's won in 4 straight seasons now, which is really unbelievable. But usually, if you see Kevin Law win a tournament, it's not going to be a good week for me in DFS. I kind of got sick of the WDs, kind of the constant WDs from him over the years, and just very rarely play him, man. I mean, I might toss him in some GPP stuff, but never going to have him as part of my core build. So when Kevin Na takes tournament down, it's not a really good week for me usually in DFS, and that was kind of the case last week. But huge win for him. Definitely the kind of course we want to target him on. We talked about that last week. That while I was one of those courses where anybody in the field could win, the short hitters have a legitimate chance. We kind of focused on Kisner a little bit, but Na's in that same mold. So huge win for him. Always want to circle these guys on certain courses. He's won at Colonial, won at the Greenbrier, other short courses. So definitely where we want to target him on a track like that.
Yeah, like you said, there's probably about 10 courses like this on tour that fit the mold. We always go back. For us, it's always Hilton Head. We say it's kind of like Hilton Head. This is the group of people we're going to play. And courses like that, that's who usually, when you say everybody's in the field, the grinders are the one you want to go with. Not saying the bombers and the birdie makers can't be there, but it's the grinders. The grinders are not going to give up on you. That's what we like to see in DFS, especially whenever you're putting on the 71st hole or whatever. For par or whatever, and you're 10 shots out of the lead. These guys, which I know the guys all grind to an extent, but some of them are like it's in their DNA to grind. I tweeted out Friday night, Saturday morning that around 20% of the lineups made the cut over the weekend. And it was mainly based on those the two players that you recommended that you were living dying on, Kevin Kisner and Sunjay M. If as far as it would have made the DFS world dynamically different over the weekend, because in reality it ended up coming down to like basically a showdown style of golf tournament or no kind of event, because there were so many teams that made it through. Because DraftKings or whatever, you get about 13-14% on the payout of the rosters. I put in one roster this week. I put a listener lineup. That's going to be something we're going to be doing every week. I put a listener lineup there. I made the cut 6 for 6. Nowhere close to making in the money, and that's why. So saying that, guys, if you had a successful week and didn't finish in the money, it's just one of them weeks. They're going to happen. What you're hoping for is getting 6 for 6, 31.3% make it. That's when we really cut the cheddar. So even better news to come out of this week was the second place finish from Chris Kirk. I was unable to watch most of the final round due to stuff going on around the house. So you texted me when they were on about 12. You said, Chris Kirk might end up winning this thing. And, he's got to be looking back to the 3-putt on 10. I watched one hole Sunday, and it was him playing number 10. He 3-jacked it from 50 feet for par. But great story about that. And I had the statistics down, but I can't find them, where he needed 142 points to stay active through his medical exemption, and ended up getting 250 for second place. So now he's got status again on the PGA Tour, which is great for him. We hear these stories all the time, and they're just unbelievable. Chris Kirk's performance, go Joe.
It was amazing, man. So clutch. I mean, we kind of mentioned Kirk on the pod a lot. Born in Knoxville, went to the University of Georgia, so he's kind of from our area. Just a huge clutch performance, man. Like you said, had to have I think a 3-way share of third or better, playing on a major medical to keep his card, and just came up huge down the stretch, man. Made some unbelievable shots. The chip on 18 was just to make a birdie, got up and down to kind of secure the share of second. So great story for Kirk. I know you touch on him a lot, and you're a big fan of his, and we kind of mentioned last week he was trending in the wrong direction, which was true. But he's one of those guys when he goes out there and gets the putter going on that type of track, especially that he can really take off. So huge congrats to Kirk, man. Really happy to see him play well and get to keep his card.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Kirk, he's always going to be a upper portion of the field on strokes gained, ball striking wise. And like you said, he gets that putter going, man. It's he can go low. I mean, he can shoot low on any type of golf course too. Distance is never going to be an issue for him. Lastly, our guest last week, Darren Reese, he tweeted out he got almost 2-1 odds on Pete Malnati, finished in top 40. Big time on that one, D Reese. Big time on that one. So Pete Malnati fizzled off there on Sunday or over the weekend, but still, I mean, strong top 15 finish. Man, he's off to a great start. He's got to be around the top 10 on the FedEx Cup. I haven't checked those updates, but that's great. Moving on to this week, American Express. First thing before we talk about the golf course breaking news, it looks like John Rahm decided to go to a soccer championship over in Spain or something of that nature, or maybe watch Spain go play somewhere. I'm not sure. And because of that reason, the travel, he has been forced to sit out for a couple of weeks. I thought originally it was COVID related, like he had COVID, he was contact traced to having COVID, but apparently that's not the issue. It's just the travel issue. So interesting. We'll see how that comes down the next couple of weeks, but it drastically changes this golf tournament, doesn't it, Joe?
Yeah, changes the whole complexion of the golf tournament. Rahm's a prohibitive favorite. Really the only true elite DFS play in this tournament. We'll get into the slate. There's obviously some very good players, but nowhere near Rahm's class up at the top of the board. So really does change the complexion of the whole slate, man, which we'll dive into. But it's kind of shocking. Rahm's a former winner here, the highest ranked player in the field. So yeah, man, it's a huge shakeup to the tournament this week.
That's right. So let's get into the golf tournament. American Express. It's at La Quinta Resort in California. Actually, 5 golf courses at this resort. And this is crazy term this year. You know, this is the former Bob Hope Classic that we all loved watching. You know, celebrity Pro-Am 5 rounds. They actually changed it this year due to COVID. They're only going to be playing 1 round at the West Nicholas tournament course, and they'll be playing 3 rounds at the West Stadium course here at La Quinta Resort. So we'll just mainly, I mean, they're pretty much going to be same conditions wise as far as Bermuda and all that goes. Bermuda grass throughout. The biggest difference between the two, yardage is about the same, par is the same. The biggest difference is one of them is designed by Jack Nicklaus, one of them is designed by Pete Dye. The Nicklaus course designed by Nicklaus is obviously going to be slightly easier than the Pete Dye course. Pete Dye is known for you got to hit in the fairway and have a good shot at the green. It's going to be very placement oriented, but nonetheless, still it's a gettable golf course. Both of them around a little over 7,000 yards long. This tournament started in 1960 and has had several names and been played on several, like I said, different golf courses throughout the years, all the way down the Humana Challenge, Bob Hope, all different types of names. So golf course wise, what are you thinking, Joe? Are we just going to be like dink and dunk and who gets the putter hot? I mean, I feel like this is a little bit like Travelers. That's what I'm feeling right here.
Yeah, and it's actually really similar to last week, Andrew. We can even draw comparisons to last week's Sony. We see a lot of guys with similarly good course history. Charles Howell III comes to mind. Guys like Brian Harmon, Kevin Na. Guys we can kind of circle. Andrew Landry won here last year and also has a runner-up finish. Adam Long. I also see a lot of out of nowhere winners at this track, which kind of reinforces the idea that everybody in the field's in play. which we talked about last week, and I look for that to be the case again this week. Distance isn't a huge factor. We've seen guys like John Rahm win here and play well, but overall, not a necessity. You want to hit fairways. Approach is kind of where we always want to lean, and that's where I'm waiting the heaviest this week again is a strokes gained approach and kind of iron play. And we want to get a guy that's going to get hot with the putter. We got Bermuda Green, so like I said, a lot of similarities to last week. Can't really throw out any portion of the field. Everybody's in play, so it's going to be another wild one, man.
I agree. Yeah, I mean this course or this tournament is known for pretty much the lowest or the most gettable under par as far as golf courses go. Like I think Joe Durant maybe holds the 90-hole record, 36 unders. Think about that. 5 rounds and shoots 36 under total score. I want to say maybe like 30 under, 28 unders, 4-round records here. So I mean, it's basic. If your putter ain't hot, you don't have a stand a chance. I was just looking through the tournament history right here, man. I see a lot of guys that hit fairways and greens and grind. I mean, so let's get into the DFS world of this. John Rahm was at top 11-5. He's out. So let's go with the next 4 on the list. Cantlay, Koepka making his debut this year. Finau, P. Reed. I'm going to already tell you right now by looking at these 4 names at the top and watching last week. Don't even start here at the top. Go about the 7,000 range and find some guys and build your lineup that way, because legitimately anybody can win that gets hot. So in saying that, first, these top 4, will you be rostering any of them, Joe?
It's going to be close. It's probably going to be more of a mix them into GPPs rather than build around these top 4. With Rahm being out, like I said earlier, it kind of completely changes the complexion. Patrick Cantlay being priced under Rahm, we could kind of see him as maybe a pivot off of Rahm if Rahm were playing. But when he's the highest price guy at 11-1, which is a pretty stout price tag, do we really want to put that kind of money in Patrick Cantlay that's been kind of shaky? Yes, we saw him win at the Zozo, but he lost strokes on approach at the Century a couple weeks ago. Mediocre finish. Didn't hit his irons well. He's got a T9 here, which is encouraging, but you're tying up a lot of money on Cantlay there. And even though I love him, I don't know that I want to go all the way up to the top with him this week. Brooks is another unknown, making his first start of 2021, making his first start in this tournament ever. We know kind of his track record in regular tour events, what we'll call regular tour events. So missed the cut at Mayakoba in his last start of 2020, even though he looked good at the Masters. So we really don't know what we're getting there with Brooks, paying that huge price. And Tony Finau, man, I'm a Finau truther. I really love the guy, but he feels extremely overpriced to me, Andrew. Didn't look good at all at the Century. Lost strokes on approach there. Had a T14 here last year and has another miscut here. So, I mean, he's a guy that we normally like to roster, but do we like to roster him at 10-5 on a course that maybe doesn't suit his strengths? And then Patrick Reed, maybe my favorite here, busted out kind of as chalk at the Century. A lot of people were on him. He had great course history at Kapalua. He's also a former winner here, but he's also always spotty. You kind of never know what you're getting. Burned a lot of people at Kapalua at the Century, so maybe we could take a look at him here. But to kind of answer your question, I won't be building my cores around the top this week for sure, man.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'm out on all 4 of these guys because especially 2 of them, you kind of rely on the way they hit their driver, and that's not going to be a big deal. And be honest with you, on a course like this, are you really getting much more game out of Cantlay than you're going to get out of Charles Howell III? Probably not. I mean, to me, probably Cantlay's barely the favorite there, honestly. I know maybe consistency you're going to see more of that, but I mean, let's be honest. And let's say I don't even know what the price difference is on them way down there, 78 versus 11-1. So think about that, folks. You're going to pay 3,300 more for a guy that might be just a little bit better. Like I said, you bring consistency in, but we don't know yet. The season's still young. I do like Reed out of all these guys, but if he gets a couple tee shots off, you're going to be, it's going to be hard to make it up on this course because you got to go so low. Moving on down, 9,000 and up. This is where, at first glance, I would always start my lineup with this field and this type of tournament. However, I'm not feeling it this week. Sungjae M, Matt Wolff, Scotty Scheffler, Ricky Fowler, Kevin Na, Answer Henley. Immediately, my eyes go to Henley until I look at tournament history. And he plays awful here. For whatever reason, unknown, he plays awful. I mean, Answer has had great course history here. And be honest, I want to be on Ricky Fowler at some point this season because I feel like he's going to make a step in the right direction. But I don't think it's here at this price point. So, in saying that, a lot of talent in these next 7. Sungjae M down to Henley. Where you at on that, Joe?
Yeah, man. Like you said, a lot of talent, but some question marks with each. I said on this show last week, I was basically all in on Sungjae, and it was didn't go well. Through 2 weeks, I've made 2 expensive mistakes. At the Century, it was Hideki Matsuyama, and last week it was Sungjae. I was so eager to jump on Sungjae last week because he played so good tee to green at the Century at Kapalua, led that field in strokes gained tee to green, but lost strokes putting. So I really hoped that his putter would come back around last week at the Sony, and that wasn't the case. Lost strokes putting again. Not only did he lose strokes putting, but he lost 3 strokes on approach, which is kind of puzzling after a great ball striking performance at Kapalua. So you're back to feeling like you're guessing with Sungjae. He's got good history here, has a T12 and a T10 and 2 career starts at the Amex, but you feel like you're guessing. He's on Bermuda, which we like with Sungjae, but has struggled mightily so far with the putter. So I feel like Sungjae's a hit or miss prospect. You're paying a lot to gamble on him at 99. Matthew Wolff hasn't played since the Masters. This really isn't his type of track as far as suiting his strengths, which is off the tee. Had a T61 in his debut last year. And like I said, it's the first time he's going to be teeing it up in 2021. So Wolf's kind of a guy we want to get maybe a little bit cheaper on a kind of a bomb and gouge track. But we do know he's explosive. Ranks 4th in this field, and birdies are better. So we know he can go out there and score. And I feel like the guy that maybe gets the biggest boost, Andrew, from Ron being out, Scotty Scheffler there at 9,500. We do this on Monday night, so there's not any ownership projections up yet, but I feel like Scheffler's going to get a ton of ownership there. Had a 3rd place finish in this tournament last year. The $9,500 price tag's high, but I could see you starting your lineup there with Scheffler and working your way down. And he went with Ron being out. He went to being kind of the 3rd betting favorite in this field, and he's the 7th highest priced guy on the DraftKings slate. So you feel like there's some win equity value there with Scheffler. Like you mentioned with Answer, he's got a great course history as we move on down. Hasn't played great so far, but you do feel like this is his type of track, and he could always come around. And then Russell Henley, man, I absolutely always love Henley. On paper, this is a tremendous fit. He played well again last week, but you look at the course history, and it's just really bad. He's missed the cut in 3 of his 5 starts. So I bet on Henley. You're kind of hoping that he's playing better than he's ever played before. But this course hasn't been kind to him so far. So a lot of question marks there in the 9s, but also a ton of upside.
I agree. And like you said, really the guys that you want to play are not, their style doesn't fit this golf course. So moving right along, 8,000 to 8,900. This is where I'm starting my lineup. And this is going to be the most Andrew Poor pick of all time since we started this podcast. I'm starting my listener lineup at 8,800 with the Phil Mickelson.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, Joe. He's dominating the senior tour. He's got great course history here. There's no reason why he cannot contend on this golf course. Tell me I'm wrong.
Man, I think you're wrong.
Okay, I'm building my lineup here at 8,800.
The price is gross, Andrew. 8,800. I could I could feel you maybe at 78, but at 8,800, I mean, I don't know who did the DraftKings pricing this week, man, but I think they might still be stuck in like 2016. We got Ricky Fowler at 93 and we got Phil at 88. Uh, so yeah, man, I mean, I feel you with the course history. No doubt he had a runner up here just 2 years ago, but he did miss the cut last year. We can always catch one of those kind of lightning in a bottle weeks with Phil, certainly capable of it, but I don't know that I'm willing to gamble at 88 to try to catch that.
I'm starting my lineup here at 88. We're going to catch light in the bottle. He's going to be low owned. If you want to be Canarian, I was not Canarian last week. I made the cut. I didn't do anything. 8,800 Phil Mickelson. That's where I'm building my lineup. Moving on, since you're not on the same page, like I said, that was the most Andrew Poor pick ever. And the second person I put in my lineup is also.
I got a feeling like you're just going to click right down to Casey at 87 and just throw him in there too.
I would, but he can't putt. That's our biggest problem with him. I will say this: the guy with the best course history in the field, Adam Hadwin, 8,000. So if you go 8,000 to 8,900, a lot to like, a lot to dislike. This is kind of where you're kind of going to make or break you this week, I think, because there's going to be all these guys may or may not. I don't know. There's so much to like here, but at the same time, you could see none of these guys getting on very high.
Yeah,
maybe
I think Hadwin's a really interesting player this week. Not so much him specifically, but kind of it's a really interesting case study and course history because the guy's form has been absolutely horrible.
Right.
He's missed 3 cuts straight, lost strokes tee to green in all those. Based on recent form, he should really be priced in the low 7s, right? But because his course history is so amazing here, he's got a second, a third, a second, and a sixth in his last 4 starts in this tournament. So he's obviously priced up due to the course history. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see kind of recent form versus course history, how that plays out with Hadwin, because we know the form's not there. The course history's there in spades. So I'm kind of just interested to see what's going to happen with Hadwin. Don't have a strong take on him. I would probably shy away from him a little bit at this price. I keep an eye on ownership. I'll definitely be underweight if he looks like he's going to be popular. More interested there as above him. Brian Harmon, I was really excited about last week. Made the cut for us, but just kind of never got going despite shooting 4 sub-70 rounds. He's played really well here. 4 of his last 5 Amex cuts, and all 4 of those have been top 20s. So I'm cool going right back to Brian Harmon this week. And a guy that I'm excited about, Sam Burns. We talked about him a lot down the stretch last year. Had 2 top 10s in his last 4 starts of 2020. Has played really well here, has a T18 and a T6 on this golf course. He bombs it, but he's also an excellent Bermuda putter, which is kind of what we're looking for this week. I don't love this price tag, Andrew, but you know I'm a Sam Burns guy, so I'm going to get some of that this week.
Yeah, I knew you'd be on Sam Burns just by seeing him here, not in the 9,000s. This spot right here is just, like I said, there's just so much to love, but so much to hate at the same time. Patton Kazire played great last week. He's right here at 8,400. Another interesting person in this group hasn't played since August. The Northern Trust, Ryan Moore. Don't know what's going on there, but under normal circumstances, this is a golf tournament that you would think he would do well at. I do like Brian Harmon. It seems like, though, Joe, every time we talk about him on this show, not saying he disappoints, but in DFS, you really have to, let's be honest, you have to catch lightning in a bottle, right? And he never really has pulled through in those.
Yeah, he certainly underwhelmed for us last week. I think he was 7,800, and he was by far my favorite play in the 7s. But it's fair to say that he underperformed and disappointed, even though he didn't play bad. Just didn't get there for us. So with his price going up $300 after kind of a disappointing week, I think we might be able to, and he's right above Hadwin, so we might be able to grab him kind of as a sleeper here. You think some people might chase Adam Long, who's a previous winner here and had a couple good starts in the swing season. Patton Kazire's been super hot, but it's all putter, man. You just kind of feel like that train's going to run off the tracks at some point. He's consistently losing strokes with his irons, but just making everything he looks at. So, yeah, he could keep it going, but if he's going to be popular, I'll definitely be underweight on Kazire just because I hate to rely on putting. And then as you move down into the sevens, man, we kind of got those vets up at the top. Zach Johnson, Charles Howell III. Hal came through again last week at the Sony, and he's got a great course history. He's made 12 of 15 career cuts here. Had a T19 last week, so we can continue riding CH3, man. We know he's straight money in Hawaii and California. So, like you said, when you're comparing him to Cantlay, I don't know that I'd go that far, but he's actually a pretty solid player to roster this week. What are your thoughts? Oh man, I know you like these vets.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I said. I mean, I'm talking about just this style of golf course. I'm never going to compare those two as far as player wise, but this style of golf course, you're not getting that much more for spending 3,000 more. I guess is what I should have maybe straightened out a little bit more on that in the conversation. But I mean, you gotta love him here. Course history is great. He prints money on the West Coast, and I mean, what has he got? The second most top 10 since Tiger Woods since he started playing golf behind Tiger Woods. So yeah, I love him. Also in this range, don't hate Zach Johnson. Don't love him. Chris Kirk coming off that week last week. Who knows emotionally where we're at? There's a lot of guys we haven't seen yet. Hoffman played well last week. Interesting thing I don't know the exact stat, but Keegan Bradley's down here at 7,300. I think I saw that he was top 5 in every stat line, strokes gained tee to green. Top 5 in every one of them. Missed the cut by 3 strokes last week. I don't know if that's possible to do.
It's always possible with Keegan.
I mean, this guy does stuff and it just can't be done. The guy leads tournaments and missed cuts. He's top 5 in every stat, strokes gained tee to green, and misses the cut by 3 shots. That is unbelievable, folks. There might have been something where he made a big number on a hole. I don't know. Interesting play down here, though, is a guy that can get it when the getting's good, and that's Brandon Steele. We know that. If he ever gets that putter going, he goes super low, which, I mean, he was right there this past week. So Brandon Steele, 7,300. You like a Taylor Gooch, I know. We usually talk about him. Maverick McNeely, we're usually high on. Let's be honest, Russell Knox, Malinotti, Ches Reavie, they fit the bill on this golf course. Maybe Reavie more of a grinder on the go low type, but where are you at on those 3?
Yeah, man. Those 3 I'm gonna look at, and this price range really didn't like last week, kind of the 7K to 75. It had me guessing, honestly, and turned out bad for me at the Sony. That kind of crushed me, that range right there. But man, there's some really intriguing guys in here this week, Andrew. You're talking about, we got some boys in there that can win this thing realistically, but they could also miss the cut. But talk about a lot of juicy GPP plays. Cam Davis has played really, really well here. The field and birdies are better gained. Aaron Wise started looking like himself again over the swing season. I think he'll be popular. I never play him, but Lucas Glover has made 10 of 12 cuts in this tournament with 6 top 25s, and he's actually looked pretty good. I think he had a top 5 at Mayakoba the last time he played. Doc, our boy Doc, is back. I love him, man. He can go out there and make birdies. Had a T29 here last year in his debut, so I'm going to have me some Doc in there. I think he's actually got tournament winning upside, believe it or not. Other guy we always talk about a lot, Sepp Straka. Had a T4 here last year, played good last week. He's 3rd in the field and birdies are better. And he gained 4 strokes on approach with his irons at the Sony. So, I mean, I think you can give Sepp Straka a look. Charlie played well last week. He's been really good here. He's won on this golf course in the past, I think back in 07. Multiple top 10s, but he's also got multiple missed cuts. We kind of know that's what we're getting when we roster him. You mentioned Cam McNeely, or Maverick McNeely, I'm sorry. Stanford guy, kind of from this area. Played really well over the swing season. Johnny Huh, we saw log 3 top 20s during the swing. I mean, on and on, man. There's tons of like top 5 upside in this mid to low 7K range. So I'm going to be going here a lot. I think you can correlate this range with guys in the 9s. If you want to go up there and take some shots with high upside guys, I think you can do that. But yeah, man, I really love this range. Give me your thoughts. Is there anybody else that's sticking out to you down there?
there's got somebody blaringly sticking out in this range. Blaring. Now I do like Doc. Obviously, I mentioned Peter already. After that last week's performance, that means his stock is still high. Somebody blaring this. Former number 5 in the world, currently sitting at 17th in the world. Francisco Molinari. Guaranteed top 20,
Knew it was
folks.
coming.
Guaranteed top 20. I know he hasn't played a lot of golf. Guaranteed top 20. Mark it down. Guaranteed. I'm going to have to look up the odds. Guaranteed top 20.
He killed us at the Masters. Killed us at the Masters.
He might have, Joe, but I mean that's against a world-class field. This is here at this the rinky-dink American Express on a golf course that's very gettable. He played in a tournament. He played in the Houston Open, whatever, Houston Open, whatever it's called. Finished 15th last year. Coming out of nowhere. We got to think he's going to finish the guaranteed top 20. Francisco Molinari, 7,000. I'm glad I got that out of my system. We can move on now to the 6,000s. Nick Taylor also.
Molinari and Mickelson. We got those noted down for Andrew this week.
Oh yeah. Moving on down. Nick Taylor played great last week. First couple rounds, he's a great ball striker. Just has trouble putting. P. Rogers, you love 6,900 and lower. You love P. Rogers in normal circumstances. He bombs it and puts good. So let's be honest, on some of the later events here, more of the Donald Ross style golf courses, you're always going to pick him up on. Not necessarily Pete.
I prefer him on POA really. He's an excellent POA putter. Kind of like I always want to target Burns on Bermuda and Patrick Rogers on POA. So I'm a little bit more interested in the guy right below him, Denny McCarthy, just because we know how hot he can get with the. We routinely saw him $1,000 to $1,500 higher than this price tag during the swing season. Obviously, this isn't a swing season event, Andrew, but $6,900 for Denny, man, with as hot as he can get. I'll be going there in GPPs for sure. And there's lots of guys as we work our way down, man. Kind of like the sixes, honestly. Got Denny. You want to talk about a veteran, a guy that sticks out to me is Vaughn Taylor, who's played well here. Got 3 career top 10s at the Amex and had a T25 last week. He's struggled for a long time, but kind of looked like he found something last week. If you kind of want to ride the bounce back train, Doug Gim burned everybody last week as a value play. But he still had logged 4 top 25s during the swing season and had played solid golf up until last week. So that's kind of an interesting bounce back play if you want to go back to Doug Gim. And then as we get on down kind of into dart throw territory, there's a couple of guys I want to talk about. Anybody jump out to you down there, Andrew?
I mean, at first glance, let's get on our boy, the friend of the show, Scotty Stallings. 6,600 against this field. Luke List, 6,600 in this field. No, these are both Tennessee guys, but this field is not that strong. They should be in the mid-7s, let's be honest, in this field. So, man, who did the pricing this week? We got Phil Mickelson, 8,800. We got Fowler, 9,300. We got Stallings, 6,600. Give me a break.
Yeah, man, there's some head scratchers out there. Speaking of Tennessee boys, let's talk about our guy coming out of Vandy making his pro debut this week, John Augenstein. Played well at the Masters, made the cut. First team All-American coming out of Vandy, so, I mean, I'll be tossing him in there just because he's a hometown boy. Another guy you might want to look at, kind of an interesting play down there, Harry Hall, out of UNLV from England. He finished the KFT on fire down the stretch. The Korn Ferry Tour had a T2, a T8, and a T6 over the last 5 events of the Korn Ferry Tour in 2020. Also had a T36 at the U.S. Open. So, I mean, he never plays on the PGA Tour, but you can give a look at Harry Hall. And then kind of some old school vets. Aaron Badley played pretty well last week. We know he can putt. He's been with Butch Harmon. Andrew Putnam has been a course horse here, even though he's playing horribly. And then Akshay Bhatia, a really young guy that we like to kind of grab a little exposure to in GPPs anytime he tees it up. He's playing on a sponsor's exemption. And then our boy Robbie Shelton had a T25 last week, gained 3.1 strokes on approach. We know he can blow up and get hot. We know he can miss the cut, but certainly worth the GPP look down here, man. There's a lot of ways you can go in tournaments this week. It kind of feels like one of those weeks to just make 50 lineups, man, and go nuts. Get these
I,
guys in there.
I agree. I mean, you could almost probably throw 50% of the guys in the 6,000 this week and be okay with the way. I mean, let's just go back in the day. I mean, Chasing Hadley at one time was a top 15, top 20 machine. Jim Herman can get hot on a course like this. Danny Lee can get hot on a course like this. Like you said, the few guys you named. I'm looking forward to seeing Augustine's debut. Another funny story about strokes gained. Let's go back here to my stat board. Strokes gained approach in the last 12 rounds. Keegan Bradley is number one. Putting, he's 150th, 158th. Okay. The only person that's even comparable to that is another guy down here in the 6,000s. His name's Will Gordon, the guy we talk about a lot. Strokes gained, tee to green, excellent. He's a top 10 guy in that week in, week out. We just got to get his putter going. We almost are a Will Gordon apologist on this show. I'm really hoping that he finds that putter because I mean he's a stud in the making if he can. Other than that, another guy that could possibly get hot on a course like this, Troy Merritt. I'm bringing out the vet side of me here, folks.
I figured you bring up Sean O'Hare. Two top tens there in his last three starts here.
The dude,
6,400.
I don't know if you remember. Do you remember they used to do these they used to do it early in the 2000s. It was a fundraiser. It was like like they would take, there's 4 or 5 clubs in Florida that several pros are members at, and they do like the Travis Cup maybe or something like that they called it. And it'd be like 5 members from each course would play on a team, and they would play club versus club. And I watched that, and it was an exhibition, so they were just out there freewheeling it, and O'Hare would dominate that tournament every year. It's not like he was shooting like 60s and 61s. I mean, the dude can go low. I just don't know if maybe it's
Yeah.
something in his head or what, but we thought
Yeah,
he was going to
he
be a
had
superstar.
a run there, man. So it's been several years ago now, but he kind of looked like he might star there. Was playing some really good golf, young, had a lot of personal issue stuff. I think growing up, kind of had a falling out with his family because they pushed him so hard. But without digging into all that, the guy's played really well here. Like I said, he has 2 T9s over his last 3 starts here. So at 6,400, he's a guy you can give a look to. A lot of weeks we're really struggling to find a couple plays down here, man. And this week it feels like there's tons of viable options. Not saying that they're going to play well, even make the cut, but it's guys you can kind of find a reason to roster, which a lot of weeks we're struggling to find, and they're definitely available this week down here.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you just really don't know where to stop down here. This is almost like this is gonna be the 6,000 is definitely gonna be your DraftKings DFS kryptonite this week because I mean you're gonna win and lose by it. It looks like so.
Yeah, I mean it almost makes you wish you loved the. It almost makes you wish you loved the top of the board more, right?
Right,
If
like
Rom were in the field,
yeah, if you had
you
wrong,
know. Yeah, it's a week where you could go stars and scrubs, but I don't know that you really want to because you might not be in love with the top of the board. Now, that said, I kind of feel like maybe we've thrown some cold water on the top of the board. There's certainly some studs up there. Don't want that to be misunderstood, but relative to the field and their prices and their inconsistencies and kind of things we can pick at versus guys that we normally see up here. It's certainly a little bit weaker than normal. I feel like you've got a little bit less confidence in those guys maybe than you normally do. But certainly the winner can come from up there. Really, really great players. So a lot of ways you can go this week, Mr. Putters. What are you thinking, man? What's your heart telling, sir?
my heart's telling me this week. Number one, obviously, I've already thrown it out there. Molinari guaranteed top 20, so mark that down. D. Reese, if you're listening today, lock it down. Molinari guaranteed top 20. Ah, man, I don't know. As you dissect this more and more throughout the week, you're going to maybe lean back up toward rostering 4 guys or 3 guys in the 6s. I can see that. And like you said, putting 50 lineups in. Now, I know it's not for everybody, so I've got to throw a name out there. And man, I just really don't want to. I'm going to say, other than the Molinari top 15, top 20, I would almost guarantee a Charles Howell again, top 20, top 10. I've already stuck my neck out there and said Mickelson, big, huge, out of nowhere play. But
that qualifies as sticking your neck out there, sir.
Yeah, it does. I'm sitting here, trying to piece together something just to make it make sense, and I'm having trouble because there's so much value. Let's do it this way. There's so much value in this tournament. It's going to be hard to make a lineup. Is that fair?
Yeah, kind of paralysis because there's so many options, and just to go back, I think this is a really cool week to just even if it's not something if you normally make one lineup, make 5 this week. If you normally make 5, make 10. Just kind of bump it up. Make your money work out the same way. Play lower entry fees and fire some GPP stuff in there because it's a really fun week to do that. A lot of cool plays down there. Telling me, man. I know you're gonna laugh at me because I always go this way. Sammy Burns, top 5. Sammy Burns, top 5. And my boy Sepp down in the 7s. Sepp Straka is going to take it deep this week.
Yeah. So much to love in this tournament. After, I've sitting here.
Man, how do you not love Doc Redman at 75?
Dude, okay, I sat here and
might miss the cut.
I sat here and
he might miss the cut, but I'm going to be there.
Yeah, I sat here and preached Molinari at 7,000 for, the last 10 minutes. And am I really going to overlook Denny at right below him?
Yeah, Denny's a great play. There's tons of upside at 71, 7,100. You got James Hahn, Wyndham Clark, Matt Jones coming off a good week. Piercy's a grinder. Michael Thompson's played good here. Neesmith busted out last week. You can go back to. There's just all kinds of options now. But yeah, Denny definitely sticks out as the guy that we know can get super hot with the putter that you feel like's a really good value at 69.
Yeah, going out, is there any downside to traveling from Hawaii back? Or, most of these guys traveled anyway. Is there any downside to that, I wonder?
I don't know that there's downside, but I certainly don't think it's a prerequisite. Last week, I'm pretty sure we talked about on here that we kind of wanted to target guys that had played the week before, guys that had played at Kapalua. We kind of wanted to target at the Sony. And while I still want to lean that way a little bit, because I always do like guys that are active, I don't think it's a prerequisite this week. So it's probably not something I'm going to give much weight to, honestly.
I got you. Yeah, I was just saying maybe not roster them if they did. That's what I was thinking.
Right. Kind of the jet lag.
Yeah, the jet lag game. I feel like I'm gonna go stars and scrubs after reevaluating, just digging into the pricing more on the listener lineup. I don't know. We might be booting old Philly Mick out. I don't know. I am gonna say Charles Howell. I look for him to finish in the top 20, top 10 again. Molinari guaranteed top 20. I love Doc Redman. I think it'll be stars and scrubs is I'm going to put my name out on that. You're going to have stars and scrubs. You're going to have 2 guys in the top 10 in pricing, finish in the top 10. The rest of them are going to be scrubs. There you go. So with that being said, if you like what you heard today, so make sure you subscribe, hit a like, send us a comment, send us an email, follow us on Twitter. We had our names posted earlier. So, we got to thank to rotoballer.com, and you go there for all your research for daily fantasy needs. My name is Andrew Putters, and that was Joe Nicely, and you have listened to the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast.
I've already hit 3 in the lake. It's gonna drive me. It's gonna